Welcome to the meal planning for the Social Fitness 12-Week Challenge. Within this presentation, we'll be discussing the information that's provided as part of the nutritional program, the scope of information available to you, the Social Fitness 12-Week Challenge, what healthy weight loss is, the Australian Dietary Guidelines, the Eat for Health program, as well as other options for maintaining nutrition throughout the 12-week challenge. The information provided through the Social Fitness 12-Week Challenge includes general nutritional information. I'm not a qualified dietitian, so I cannot write you specific meal plans. However, within this information, we have included meal plans developed by the Australian Government. If you want a specific diet written for you, you need to access a nutritionist or even better, an accredited practicing dietitian. They'll be able to work with you and work with your needs. They'll also work for anyone who has special nutritional requirements. As I'm not a dietitian, I cannot provide advice for people that have special dietary concerns like intolerances, allergies, as well as other medical conditions related to nutrition. Within the program, I'm going to teach you how to calculate your energy requirements, as well as calculate the amount of energy you're taking in each day. This is really important with your nutrition within the 12-week challenge because in order to achieve weight loss, you're going to have a negative energy balance, in that you must be using more energy than you're taking in. Nutrition isn't quite as simple as that, but it's a general guideline we can work within that if we're spending more energy than we're taking in, we're generally going to lose some weight. The more negative that balance, the more weight we lose. But we need to do it in a healthy manner. The meal planning information within this presentation is based on the Eat for Health program. The Eat for Health program is based on the Australian Dietary Guidelines and provides advice on healthy eating. Within the program, there's also links to healthy recipe sites. Finally, for those of you that want something really tailored and specific, you may access one of the pre-made food options that we've linked through our partners. The pre-made food options will be great for ensuring you meet your nutritional requirements throughout the program, but also that negative energy balance so you can lose weight throughout the program. However, this is a more costly version and it's quite simple at home to make the easy changes you need to lose weight and be successful during the 12-week challenge. As mentioned before, the information provided within the Social Fitness 12-Week Challenge is based on the Eat for Health program and the Australian Dietary Guidelines. As I'm not a dietitian, I cannot provide individual meal plans and they would need to be individual to your specific needs. So all I can do is provide some guidelines and the Eat for Health program which you can tailor to your own specific diet. 2 example meal plans are provided that are from the Eat for Health program, but it only will cover 2 days. And to have good nutrition, you need to eat a variety of foods. So eating the same meals every day isn't going to meet your nutritional needs. So if you do want those specific meal plans, you need to go and speak to an accredited practicing dietitian who can write something up, a weekly plan for you that covers all your requirements and will help you achieve weight loss. As mentioned before, my advice doesn't cover people with specific medical or nutritional needs. So if you have intolerances, you have special dietary needs, or you have medical conditions related to your nutrition, you can't follow this program. It's for general healthy people. If you fit into one of those other categories, you need to speak to an accredited practicing dietitian. So by now, you should have reviewed the Social Fitness 12-Week Challenge. Within the 12-week challenge, nutrition is just as important, if not more important than exercise. No matter how much exercise you do, if you don't focus on your nutrition, you will not achieve your weight loss goals. No amount of exercise can cover for poor nutrition. The founding principle of weight loss is energy in versus energy out. That is, we need to achieve a negative calorie or kilojoule balance so that we're using more energy than we're taking in each day. Over time, even a small overindulgence can lead to weight gain. For example, if your diet was relatively balanced but each day you took in an additional biscuit, Over a year, that could easily equate to an extra kilo or two. You need to look at long term when we're thinking about nutrition. So don't try to change everything at once. It's very difficult to go straight away tomorrow and eat perfectly. You need to make slow changes that are manageable. Within the 12-week challenge, you may be able to push yourself a small amount so that you can make some drastic changes. But over the long term, if you want to maintain the changes you achieve during the 12-week challenge, you need to make long-lasting changes that don't heavily impact your life. You still need to be able to go out and enjoy yourself, have a night out, have a dinner. It's about making smart choices when you're doing it and keeping it all in moderation. Allow yourself rewards throughout the program, but don't overindulge. It's common for people to allow themselves a cheat day, for example. Don't go crazy on a cheat day. A cheat day doesn't mean that we eat the entire amount of junk food we would have normally eaten in a week within one day. A cheat day means you may allow yourself one or two treats that you normally wouldn't allow yourself during the other days of the week. It doesn't mean drinking heaps of soft drink, a full cake, and going crazy and blowing out your calories. Because again, if we look at energy in versus energy out, you may throw your whole week out by one day that's really in the positive energy balance. But do allow yourself those rewards for achievement. If you've had a great week, you've been really good, do allow yourself to have that one treat that you really enjoy. But again, keep it in moderation. If you're going to have a slice of cake to celebrate a great week, don't have a giant slice of cake. Have just enough to satisfy yourself. What we're aiming for is around 1 to 2 kilos per week maximum weight loss. If we have a huge weight loss, it's generally not the healthiest option and it's not going to be sustainable over a long period of time. And whatever we achieve during the 12-week challenge, we want to maintain. There's a high percentage of people that lose large amounts of weight during weight loss challenges or health kicks and then put that and sometimes even more weight back on within 6 months of completing their diet or health kick. We don't want that to happen. We want the changes we make to become long-lasting changes. That's why I keep talking about having a long-lasting view towards your nutrition. Think about sustainability for your long-term diet. So that is including those social nights out and allowing to treat yourself occasionally. So I talked about before the importance of energy in versus energy out. But how do you calculate your energy requirements? Well, there's two components that make up your energy requirements. It's your basal metabolic rate, which is the energy requirements at rest. So our body, just to function normally, even while sleeping, requires a certain amount of energy. It's for the small movements that we might make, but things like breathing, our heart to continue to beat, and all the different functions the body needs to go through. It all requires some amount of energy. Everyone has a different basal metabolic rate, and it's dependent on different factors like your size, the amount of muscle that you have, and the amount of activity, because the basal metabolic rate can remain higher after activity. The other major factor is your activity levels. So I talked about a second ago, the basal metabolic rate may be elevated post-activity, but obviously the more activity we're actually doing, the more energy we're consuming. So if you have a really sedentary job where you're sitting at a desk and not moving around too much, your energy requirements are nowhere near that of someone who has a really physical job, like a labourer or quite a lot of the trades. So be aware of this. You can do 30 minutes to 60 minutes of exercise each day, but if that's all you're doing and the rest of the day you're sitting down, you're still going to have low energy requirements because you're only using so many calories or so much energy during that exercise. It doesn't mean you've gone to the gym for an hour, so all of a sudden you need to have heaps and heaps of food. If you have that heaps and heaps of food, you'll consume more than you spent during the actual gym session. And as I said, we'll have low energy requirements the rest of the day because you're going to sit down and not do lots. So be aware, and that's where I was talking about before, that your nutrition is just as important, if not more important, than the physical activity. We can only burn so many calories during physical activity. It's about having good nutrition and maintaining our energy balance. There's a really great calculator available for you. If you go to the website that's on the screen now, www.eatforhealth.gov.au and Eat Health Calculators. On here, you can put all your information in terms of your age, weight, different ones for different calculations. But what it will come out with is a calculation of your energy needs, your daily nutritional requirements, so in terms of recommended serves. So there's some really great information in there. And when we start talking about the Eat for Health program, we're able to calculate this. The important thing here is we're looking at, okay, well, based on our energy needs, what's our nutritional requirements, what serves can we have, and then we need to take, okay, well, this is what we need to maintain our current weight. So when this calculates out, if you want to lose weight, you'll need to look at, okay, well, how can I have less servings than that? Again, creating that negative energy balance. It's really important as well that I talk about at this stage barriers and setbacks. You really need to be prepared and plan out your nutrition during the program. There is going to be barriers and setbacks. There's going to be social occasions that you weren't expecting. There's going to be times when someone encourages you to have a drink, or you've had a really hard day at work and you just feel like you need something. There's going to be things that come in the way and make it hard to maintain your nutrition throughout the 12-week challenge. So be prepared for these things. Allow in your weekly schedule days where you're going to eat not so well. Or if you know that you're going to have a couple of days where you're not going to eat so well, prepare ahead of that. Make sure earlier on in the day we're having something really nutritious but low in calories so that you can compensate for that for later in the day. And look at it overall in the week. Okay, well, if we're going to have 2 really bad days, we need to make sure the other days are really, really good and we're doing a great job on those days. The sorts of things I'm talking about in terms of barriers and setbacks are going to be things like when you have to eat out and you can't make 2 healthier choices. If all your friends want to go to the fish and chip shop, there's some slightly more healthy choices you can make there, but generally it's probably going to be quite a high calorie or quite a high energy intake meal. So be aware of that. Social occasions, so again, going to a friend's house, you can't show up to a friend's house and not eat anything if they're cooking a meal for you. It would be quite rude. Obviously, there's occasions when you can, but a lot of the time you would need to be able to eat what's on offer, and you can't bring your own meals along. So you need to prepare for occasions like that. You might have injury or illness, so if you hurt yourself and can't exercise for a few days, or you're sick, often when we're sick and we look for high calorie foods because we're feeling low and flat and tired, so we're trying to pep ourselves up with some high calories. So we need to be prepared that we're going to have setbacks and we're not going to be able to stick perfectly to our diet throughout the entire 12-week challenge. That's okay. Again, we talked about before, this is a long-term plan. We're trying to achieve some great results during the 12 weeks, but we're thinking more in the long term and overall. So there will be setbacks, there will be times when you may even during the 12-week challenge put on a little bit of weight, but we're trying to achieve this over the entire 12 weeks. Another setback will be fatigue, so days when you're too tired to exercise, loss of motivation, so there might be times when you don't feel like you're getting the results you want, so you can easily be drawn away, or loss of self-control. So sometimes you just have food there and you've had a hard day and you plan to eat just a couple of little squares of chocolate and all of a sudden the whole block's gone. So you need to be prepared and not just give up on the 12-week challenge based on that. So just because you have one really bad day that you didn't intend to, don't give up on your whole program. Look long term and say, okay, well, we've had a bad day, but we can still achieve our results. And you may not even achieve the initial results that you set out to within the 12-week challenge. You may have set yourself a really, really hard target and you may not achieve that, but don't be discouraged. Even a small amount of weight loss during the 12 weeks, it's a starting point, and you can start the 12-week challenge straight again and try and achieve another improvement in your health. Think about it long term and sustainable. So at the start of the program, we need to identify potential barriers to success and develop a strategy to overcome these. So things like when we know we're going to eat out, look ahead at the restaurant, have a look through the menu. What sorts of things are you going to be able to order that are going to be healthy? If you know that you're going to have certain social occasions coming up ahead, again, plan ahead so that you can eat healthier earlier on in the day, or over that week you can eat generally more healthy and plan that to be your reward day. Think about these things ahead of time. It makes it a lot easier and a lot more likely that you'll succeed throughout your program. So planning is the key. Motivation and goal setting will help you ensure you get the success you want during this 12-week challenge. Okay, so let's get into the Eat for Health program. So the Eat for Health program is based on the Australian Dietary Guidelines. What it does is give you what's called a foundation diet and then additional serves based upon that. So the Eat for Health program focuses on the 5 different food groups. So we look at the vegetables, fruits, grains, meats, nuts, seeds, legumes, dairy and water, and discretionary choices we need to make throughout the day. What we also need to do is look at serving and portion sizes. So the foundation diet in the Eat for Health program will tell you the amount of serves of certain foods that you need to have throughout the day, or can have throughout the day, I should say. With the foundation diet, we can add on additional servings of things based on our size, activity levels, and those sorts of things. That's because what we're looking to do over the long term is maintain our energy balance. However, if you stick to the foundation diet and eat just what's in the foundation diet, generally that should provide you with a negative energy balance. So if you stick to that foundation diet, if you're someone who's really active and you're quite large, then in terms of more muscular, if we're talking, then you may still be able to have some of those discretionary serves or additional serves as well throughout the day and still maintain that negative energy balance. But the foundation diet is probably something that would be really great to aim for. There's 2 different things we need to look at in the program, the serving size and the portion size. So a serving size is the recommended amount within the Australian Dietary Guidelines and the Eat for Health program. The portion size is what generally people give themselves. So for example, you may have a couple of serves of something within a particular meal, but that may only be a portion. So you might give yourself, for example, a steak for dinner and you have quite a large steak. This may equate to actually 2 of your serves of meat throughout the day. Whilst it's only one portion, it's multiple serves due to the size of what you're eating. Flipping it back the other way, a lot of people for things like vegetables actually don't have enough to constitute a serve. So you're aiming for that 5 to 6 serves per day. You actually need to be consuming quite a lot. So for example, a serving size of vegetables is generally about half a cup of vegetables. Or if we're looking at green leafy vegetables, it can be a full cup of those vegetables. So that's quite a substantial amount of vegetables you need to be eating if you're eating 5 to 6 portions per day. If we're not looking at those green leafy vegetables, that means we're having about 2.5 to 3 cups of vegetables each day. So if you think about that on your plate, and you're probably going to have most of your vegetable portions for lunch and dinner, you need to be having about a cup and a half of vegetables with each of those meals to achieve the serves per day. And a lot of people say, okay, I've got my vegetables with dinner, but they've got a really small portion size, and so it's not equating to that serving size. And again, going the other way, we look at the meats and things like that, we're often having a lot more. Especially when we're looking at discretionary choices, people might have a slice of cake and they say, oh, I only had one slice of cake, but the portion size they're allocating themselves is multiple serving sizes, and so then we're taking in far too much energy. If we go to look at some of these serves, I'll break them down a little bit more. So we talked about the vegetables. For fruit, we're looking at around 2 serves per day. Things like grapes, 10 grapes is a serve. And similarly with dry fruit. So people think, okay, I'll be on nutritious, I'll have some dry fruit. 10 sultanas is the equivalent of 10 grapes. So that's a serve again. Whereas most people, if they had sultanas, would have a lot more than 10 sultanas. So that's where, again, fruit's great for us, really healthy, but it often has quite a lot of sugar within it. So we need to be careful we're not having too much and overdosing or having too many serves and increasing our calories. The other thing we really need to do is aim for variety. Don't just stick to the same fruits and vegetables every day. So don't stick to your carrots, peas, and broccoli. Eat different varieties and different colors. Again, this is going to give us a lot more nutrition and a lot more different vitamins and minerals that are in certain vegetables and not others. So they're going to really help maintain our nutritional requirements. You eat grains and fiber to really fill you up. So fiber is something that's really good to fill you up because it's really slow to break down. So you'll stay fuller for longer. So that's when we look at things like breads. We want to have nice dark breads and things that haven't been really, really refined and really, really sugary. As I said, that will keep you filled a lot longer. But again, if we start looking at what is an actual serving size, one slice of bread is a serve, or a quarter of a cup of muesli, or half a cup of pasta. So we're only having 3 to 6 serves of grains per day. So if you're having a sandwich at lunch and pasta for dinner, we're probably going to tip over that, especially if we're having muesli or something for breakfast. So we need to be careful with the amount of grains. And again, comparing those portion sizes to the actual serving sizes. Proteins are another really good one that will fill you up and keep you filled longer. But again, remember your portion size. You want to be aiming for something that's around the size of your hands. If you're looking at a piece of chicken or a piece of steak, something like that, it should be around the size of your palm to be a correct. It's a really easy measure for a serve of something. So again, if we think about it, most of the time, probably when we have chicken or steak or something, we have far bigger than that portion. So we're having more than one serve. Little things we can do as well as things like trim the fat or the skin off meats as well, because that's going to be really high in fat. So that's going to give you additional calories that you don't need. Obviously, you want some fat in the meat because fats are still important. You have lots of vitamins and minerals that are fat soluble, so you need some fat in your body. So it's important to take in some of those, but it's that excess fat that we want to be careful with. So it's the big chunks of fat that are sitting on the side of the meat or the skin that we want to be careful when we're eating. Whereas we still want a little bit of fat within the meat. So we're not going through a steak and cutting out every tiny little piece of fat out of the meat. In terms of dairies, we should be aiming for that 2.5 serves of dairy each day. And again, a serve, we're looking at a cup of milk or 2 slices of cheese. So it's quite easily attained. Drinks, this is probably an area where we can have far too many calories really easily. So people having sugary drinks, so your soft drinks and things like that. Some of the diet drinks have fake sugars in, and they can have effects as well. So although they're calories, they're still tricking the body to think that we've taken in sweetness. So there is some research to suggest that we need to be careful with the consumption of some of those artificial sweeteners and things as well. So 8 glasses of water is really what we're looking for. You still can be having things like your coffee and your alcohol in moderation, but we want to limit it. So let's try and avoid, especially during the 12-week challenge, let's avoid having a glass of wine with dinner every single night of the week. Treat it as your reward, or have a really small serve with dinner, so that we're not consuming, because alcoholic drinks can be really, really high in calories as well. And if we are going to have an alcoholic drink, try and have something that's a bit more healthy for us. So like the red wines have lots of antioxidants and are quite, they have some benefits there, obviously, for the antioxidant. Whereas if we're having something like a bourbon and Coke, again, we're having the soft drink as well as the alcohol. So we're getting the double hit there. So let's try and make some smart choices. There's obviously a lot of marketing around low carb beer and that sort of stuff. You're still getting a lot of energy. So even though it's low carb, there's still a lot of energy in each one of those drinks. So don't think you're being really healthy. Some of the things like ciders and things like that can be really, really high in sugar as well. So be careful with those. The healthy diet does allow for up to 3 discretionary choices each day, treats. But if we're looking for weight loss, it's probably limited to, it's an idea to limit these to 1 to 2 days per week. So these discretionary choices, straight away I've probably said discretionary choices and you've gone, great, I can have 3 pieces of cake in a day or something like that. But no, we're talking about even the drinks that we consume, as well as some of those treats, even things like deli meats, sausages, butter, and those sorts of things as well. Those come under our discretionary choices. So the information on your screen now is related to the foundation diet. So that gives you obviously male or female and different age categories, the number of serves from the 5 food groups that you should be having each day, and then the approximate number of additional and discretionary choices that you can have. And again, you'll have more additional serves if you're taller or more active. Males can have slightly more than females, so there's some additional things there. And so this is a total diet. So a lot of the fad diets out there are cutting certain things out of your diet. So it might be the paleo diet where you're cutting out a lot of carbohydrates. You might have the sugar-free diets and things. Often when you're doing those sorts of diets, you're cutting something out, and cutting something out whilst you're cutting out some of the bad foods, you're also cutting out some of the vitamins, minerals, and things that you need in your diet. So the idea for the Eat for Health program is we're not cutting anything out. We're having a totally rounded diet and making sure that we're eating from all the different food groups and all the different foods that we should be having. So we should be getting all the different vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that are required to maintain our health. So whilst it's considered a diet, it's we're not cutting anything out and limiting anything like we do in a lot of those fad diets. So as I said, the foundation diet is here, and you can go into the Eat for Health program and look at any additional servings that you might be able to have. So the Eat for Health program is focused on the amount of energy and nutrients required for average adults. Size, additional activity, and age, so being younger, not being older, may mean that additional servings are required, which are required as part of the total diet. So when you go through the Eat for Health program, you can look at the total diet, which is the servings you can add on top of the foundation diet based on those factors we were saying before. So your size, additional activity, age, those sorts of things. The additional servings are based around the additional energy requirements we have. And if we're looking for weight loss, then we want to be under our energy needs. So we talked about that negative energy balance. So we want to be cutting out the things like the fats and the sugars and things like that. So our additional energy requirements, we want to be still making those up with healthy choices. So it might be having some more vegetables, some more fruits, those sorts of things. Depending on your energy requirements, you may be allowed an additional 2 to 5 serves a day over the different things, which can equate to 5 to 600 kilojoules. Remember that the additional choices, as I said, should be healthy choices. So things like the vegetables and grains. Don't have your additional choices and so eat the foundation diet and have additional servings of cake and things like that to make up your calorie needs. Because if we're going to have that additional food, we want to make sure it's really great nutrition that we're taking in. Generally, people will only have an additional 1 to 3 additional choices that they'll be able to have within their diet to make up those energy requirements. So there's not a lot of extra room with that foundation diet. So don't think, okay, the foundation diet's made for someone that's not overly active. I do heaps and heaps of physical activity. I'm a labourer or something like that. So all of a sudden I can double the diet. You're likely, again, you can use these calculators on the health program, but it's likely you're only going to have an additional 1 to 3 servings over the day. And again, we're trying to make those healthy choices. So it might be an additional 1 to 3 servings of vegetables, of fruits, or some grains throughout the day. It's not going to mean all of a sudden you can eat heaps and heaps more food. Another part of the Eat for Health program, that I'm going to talk about in this nutrition that's really important, is the food labeling, because the food labels are things that are going to be really useful for you in terms of making healthy choices when you pick things. So there's quite a few tips here on the screen that you can see. It's really important to look at the 100 grams column and rather than serving sizes. Different companies will call different things different serving sizes, and often it's to make their nutrition sound a lot better than it actually is. So, for example, a 600 ml Coke by memory has multiple serves in it, whereas not many people would have a 600 ml Coke and not drink it in one sitting by themselves. Similarly with things like your yogurts or your milks or something. Again, looking at portion versus serving sizes, it's a really small serve that they're asking you to have to make it seem better. Or a packet of chips, they might consider a small bag of chips. There might be 3 servings in there, and it's not something that you would actually eat over 3 occasions. So use that 100 grams as your comparison for all these things, because that will give you a really good guide. Doesn't matter what size they suggest you serve, the 100 grams is going to remain constant when you're looking at those things. So in terms of energy, in there, you need to look at, okay, well, how much energy am I consuming as part of, again, maintaining that energy balance throughout the day. If we look at sugars, we need to be really careful at looking at things that say they're low fat, because often a low fat thing to make it more palatable, they add extra sugar in there. So that's especially can be the case with things like yogurts and dairy products. They put a lot of sugar in them to make up for the fat that they've removed and made it less palatable. And also, no added sugar doesn't mean it doesn't have high amounts of sugar. So things like fruit juices, roll-ups, things like that, that are really concentrated versions of the fruit. It's got no added sugar, but it's got concentrated servings. So there might be 3 or 4, at least, oranges in a glass of orange juice. So you're actually having multiple serves, you're having 3 to 4 serves of the fruit straight away. And by having that glass of orange juice, there's no added sugar, but there's still a heap of sugar in there because you're having basically 4 pieces of fruit within there, and they're naturally occurring fruit. So again, with the food labels, be really careful about how things are worded. Sugar can have lots of different names for things, so you can see on here, it can be dextrose, fructose, glucose, golden syrup, honey, maple syrup, sucrose. There's so many different names for sugar, so they try and hide the amount of sugar in things by calling it different names. As a bit of a guide, and we've got a nice little tip on here, per 100 grams we should be looking for something that's no more than 15 grams of sugar per 100 grams. That's going to be a more nutritious choice. If we look at something like sodium, we want to choose things that are lower in sodium. So foods with less than 400 milligrams per 100 gram are really good, and less than 120 per 100 grams is even better. So that's where we're really aiming towards. And again, too high salt intake, all of a sudden we're looking at things like increasing our blood pressure as well. And again, we've got lots of different names for ingredients that have salts in them. So we need to be careful looking at the ingredients. It may not say it contains salt, but there's other things in there that do contain it. The ingredients, they're listed from greatest to smallest. So use this to check the first 3 ingredients in terms of saturated fats, sodiums, and added sugars. For most things, just check those first 3 is a good starting point. Obviously, it's ideal we check through everything, but that's a great starting point to know that the majority of what's in the food. Fiber, not all labels include fiber, but we want to choose breads and cereals with at least 3 grams per serve. So again, we're looking to fill ourselves up with those high amounts of fiber because that's something that's filling and going to keep us full for longer. Fats, we generally want to choose things that are less than 10 grams per 100 grams. For things like milk, yogurts, and ice cream, choose things that are 2 grams per 100 gram. For cheese, 15 grams per 100 grams. So trying to look for things that don't have too much fats in them per those 100 grams so that we know that it's a healthy choice. So hopefully some of that food labeling stuff is going to help you. Refer back, you can print off this food label guide, and there is apps and things out there as well that help you choose some more nutritious choices. You can use a website, things like the Calorie King, where it will tell you a breakdown of foods, calories within those, and you can choose and make some more healthy options. So the Eat for Health program, as I said, does include some meal plans in there, and those can be used as a starting point or as a basis for your diet. I've included these in the resources on the nutrition page, so feel free to have a look through those, and you may even want to start with those for a couple of days for your 12-week program. But don't try and eat the same things every single day. It's really important for variety to keep us interested. But again, as I talked about before, the more variety we have in our diet, the more we are likely to have a balanced diet and get all the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that we require within our diet. Whereas if we just stick to eating the same thing over and over and over, we're likely to be missing some of those vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that are required in our diet. So you can start to plan out your meals using the Eat for Health program and the information. so that you can plan ahead to be successful in the 12-week challenge in terms of the choices of foods that you make and the meals that you put together. It's really important to plan ahead with nutrition. If you try and make things on the day and like decide, okay, I'll get lunch when I get to work, at lunchtime go and find somewhere, it can be really difficult to quickly make the right choices and have access to the food. So a lot of it's about preparation, and sometimes it can be things like making an additional serve at dinner, so you can take that for lunch next day if you've made something that's really nice and healthy, or it might be part of it. I like to often have make a bigger salad with dinner, and then I carry some of that salad over to lunch the next day and have that with some tuna or something. So that I've got that healthy choice ready to go straight away, rather than having to get to work and try and find something, or again, making something that's not going to fill me up at lunchtime. Don't give up based on a bad day or setback. So we talked about some of the barriers and overcoming those earlier on. You're going to have days where you can't stick to your plan. So make sure you do allow for this and accommodate for it. Healthy recipes. So I've put some links on the website to some really healthy recipes and some good food choices. But again, you've got that food labeling information, so you can start making some healthy choices in terms of the ingredients you're using, or and the pre-packaged foods that you're purchasing. And then things to remember are things like the styles of cooking. So always try and choose the healthy styles. So things like frying and using lots of oil is unhealthy. The more we can drain oil out of the meats and things that we're cooking, the better. So if we're cooking some mince, make sure we're draining that fat and during it, not letting it soak in. Um, Obviously, a lot of people say, "Oh, it takes away some of the flavour," but again, that's the additional calories that we're not needing. And there's still going to be plenty of fat in those meats as well, even after we've drained them. You're not getting all of it out of there. Think about the types of foods that you're eating. So looking at the 5 food groups, making sure you're getting the servings from each food group. And it's really easy to fill yourself up with nutritious food as well. So it's again, we don't fill ourselves up because we don't have enough vegetables in a portion. We have 3 vegetables on our plate, but we have very small portion sizes of them and not nearly enough. So that's why we're not filling up. And then after dinner, we're reaching for a dessert or something else to fill ourselves up. Remember servings versus portion sizes. So the servings are what the Eat for Health program will talk about. Portions are what we're trying to aim for. So generally you might be aiming for those serving sizes as your portions, but remember you do have multiples allowed in a day. So for example, your meats, you may only have 1 serving at lunch, which means you've got 2 servings for dinner. So you can have a larger portion of something to eat for that. And we're looking for foods that are going to fill us up. So there's high fiber, high protein foods. They're going to make us feel fuller for longer, rather than some of those really sugary, things like the white breads and things like that that aren't going to fill us up, and we're going to be reaching for more food really, really quickly. And we want to be careful with things that we can digest really, really quickly. So a lot of people use soups and things. They feel really full quickly, but the problem is they don't have a lot of energy in the soups. Depends on the variety again. But if there's not a lot of energy in there, you feel full quickly, so you stop eating, but then you're hungry again in an hour's time because you haven't consumed enough and you've digested that liquid really, really quickly. Now let's talk about other options. So if you don't fancy yourself to follow the Eat for Health program, and again, because I can't give you a specific diet that you can just follow day by day, and you don't want to spend the money on a dietitian, there is pre-packaged meal options. So there's plenty of different ones out there. The one that I'm going to talk about is BeFit Foods. It's one that offers pre-packaged meals. The reason I like it is it's put together by an accredited practicing dietitian, but also a bariatric surgeon as well. So someone he specialises generally in lap band surgeries and rapid weight loss things for the really morbidly obese. So they've put together the BeFit Foods, and they can achieve rapid weight loss with their meals. So I recommended at the start that we're aiming to lose 1 to 2 kilos as a maximum per week. With the BeFit Foods, you can actually achieve a lot more rapid weight loss than that. But again, this would be a short-term option if we're going to go down that option. you're not going to stick with the BeFit foods as a permanent option. It's something to lose some weight, a substantial amount of weight during the 12-week challenge. And then after that, we need to apply a lot of the stuff we're learning in this nutrition and the Eat for Health program to make a long-term sustainable diet. But the prepackaged foods, it's an option for someone that wants really rapid weight loss. So if you've undertaken the 12-week challenge to get ready for something where you need to lose a lot of weight, the BeFit foods will be able to help you do that. They'll also be a good option for people that struggle for time or with cooking. So if you're traveling a lot, or you're single and you get home and you don't feel like cooking, so you often do have options that aren't so nutritious. All their food is pre-prepared and pre-cooked, so obviously need to warm it up and those sorts of things, but it's there and waiting for you. It's a nutritious meal, you know, straight away, so you don't have to put a lot of thought into things. And if you're not a great cook as well, it's got you covered there as well, because everything's pre-prepared and it's going to be tasty for you. So yeah, if you're looking for the short-term success, it's a great option, but again, that's an option you're going to have to pay for. So it is going to cost you something. Obviously, you have to pay for your foods anyway, because we have to pay to eat. But it's probably going to be a little bit more expensive than just going through and doing it yourself, making those nutritious choices. But yeah, obviously that takes a lot more preparation to actually make your own meals and those sorts of things. And you've got to put your diet together. So option there for you if you're looking for the simple solution. Whilst I'm talking about other options, I'm going to encourage you to avoid shakes and fad diets. Obviously, some of those things, yes, you can achieve weight loss, but they're not sustainable long-term options, those things. And quite likely they're going to take things out of your diet, so those vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that you need. We're removing something there to achieve that weight loss. So we're not doing it in a healthy manner. So yeah, I don't condone or recommend any of those. I would stick to those Eat for Health program, or if you want to go with that other option, those pre-packaged meals, to make sure that you're still getting that well-rounded nutritional servings of everything. If you're using a diet, ensure that it's safe and scientifically proven. So if you do want to stick with the shakes or the fad diets and those sorts of things, that's your choice. But make sure there's some science behind it. Don't just go by things that anecdotally supposedly work, or someone else has told you that it's worked. Look at the actual science behind it. Okay, does it work? How does it work? Are there any risks? Or are there any things that we need to be aware of going into it, especially if we've got other medical conditions or health concerns? Is it going to have any adverse reactions to those sorts of things? Remember, if your diet changes are not sustainable, you're likely to put the weight back on at the completion of the program, and often even more. So we can go through the fad diets and the shakes and things, but if it's not something we're going to be doing long term, you'll get great results during the 12-week challenge. But then if we're just going to put that weight back on in 6 months' time, is it really worth it? The idea of the 12-week challenge is to kickstart you and get you into a lot healthier lifestyle, and something that you can do longer term, so that you can be more healthy, more fit, and more functional over the rest of your life, rather than just over the next 12 weeks to 6 months. Okay, to summarize what we've gone through today, the best option for me is the Eat for Health program. So I've provided you some information and some links there. That should help you make some of those choices. Again, it's really important that we have that negative calorie kilojoule energy balance if we want to lose weight. So again, the foundation diet should be enough if we're using the Eat for Health program for you to achieve that. But it's really important that we burn more energy than we're actually consuming. And let's not aim for doing 2 hours of strenuous exercise each day so that we can have that extra piece of cake. Let's be sustainable and long term about this. We generally want to aim to lose 1 to 2 kilos per week so that it's healthy. And then it's not water loss as well. A lot of the fad diets and things, you lose a massive amount of weight, but it's a lot of fluid loss through the body. So we're not as hydrated through the actual diet. So although it looks great on the scales, it's not achieving that result. And that's important when we look back at the 12-week challenge. Some of the testing things that we suggested at the start, so some of the measurements, not just using weight loss as your only goal during the 12-week challenge. Let's look at our waist circumference and other measures, because we may put on weight during the program because we may be putting on muscle during the program. So don't feel it's all about just losing weight. It's about feeling healthier, having a smaller clothes size, having a lower waist circumference, so decreased risk of health conditions, those sorts of things that we need to plan for. So as I said, don't just measure success on the scales, look at it broadly. Be prepared for setbacks and barriers. So we've talked quite a bit about that, and reward your success. So as you're doing things, achieving great things throughout the program, treat yourself. Different people respond to different rewards. So your rewards doesn't have to be that you get a piece of cake or you get a night out. So it can be something that you enjoy. You get to have a day with your family, or you get to go out to see a movie or something, but at least something that you know that, okay, if this week I do a really good job, at the end of the week I will get X, and something that will motivate you. It might be a reward that you get to go and buy yourself some new clothes because you've lost all that weight and your clothes are now too big for you. That's going to be a great reward and a great motivator. So pick something that's going to make you motivate you and reward you for your success. So most importantly, remember why you undertook this challenge. You're likely to succeed if you're motivated. And obviously you start this challenge with a purpose and a reason why you're doing the 12-week challenge. Not many people are going to do the 12-week challenge just to try it. Most people will actually have a goal and have a reason why they're doing it. So let that be your motivating factor throughout, and keep it in the forefront of your mind and to motivate you throughout the program and to overcome any barriers or setbacks. Refer back to all the information on the nutritional page, and that should answer most of your questions. Feel free to contact us at info@socialfitness.net.au if you have any questions, but again, we won't be able to provide you with a specific diet or meal plans that you'll be able to follow throughout the whole program.